بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening. Inshallah everyone is doing well across the earth, locally, internationally. We greet you all. A few brief announcements and reminders. The first is for the struggle within. HadithDisciple World Tour kickoff, Friday the 27th of September this month. If you haven't registered online, please make sure that you do. It is a very exclusive and intimate event. It's not public, it's not open to everyone, it's not going to be live streamed. If you want to participate, you need to register because seating and space is very limited. It's a very private type of thing. That's first and foremost. So that's for the 27th of this month. The address, the location, whatever you need is all on the website and the social media outlets. HadithDisciple.com, HadithDisciple Shop, etc. Second is, the 20th, I believe we're going to Columbus, Ohio, Ohio State University, and Masjid Abu Bakr. For those who wish to come and partake, you're more than welcome to come, inshallah ta'ala. The venue, the location, the specifics as well, can be found in the social media or the social media outlets as well. That's going to be the 20th of this month, I believe, which is the weekend after this coming weekend in Columbus. And Allah surely knows best. طيب. Tonight is Ad-Durar Al-Bahiyyah, and we were previously explaining Kitab al-Nikah, the book of marriage, the most fundamental and rudimentary rulings and principles of marriage. طيب, la bats, inshallah, we'll fix it, bidnillah. Not an issue. طيب. So we were discussing the ruling of marrying a younger woman and how her hand in marriage is to be asked for. And the ruling of marrying a woman and proposing to a woman while she's in the iddah. And the ruling of a man undercutting another man, another brother, to marry a sister as well. It says here, وَيَجُوزُ النَّظَرُ إِلَى الْمَخْطُوبَةِ, and it's permissible to look at the woman whom you're proposing to. It's permissible to look at the makhtuba, the woman whom you're asking for her hand in marriage. Brief notice here in the footnotes, the mu'alliq, he says, لو قال المصنف ويندب لكان أولى لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أمر به وهذا الأمر وإن كان واردا بعض الحظر وهو تحريم النظر إلى الأجنبيات فيرجع إلى ما قبل الحظر على الصحيح وهو الإباحة هنا إلا أنه أمر معلل بعلة تدل على أن أريد به الحث والندب وهو قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم فإنه أحرى أن يؤدم بينكما وذلك قدر زائد على الجواز كما لا يخفى وهذا ينقض القاعدة المذكورة وهي أن الأمر الوارد بعد الحظر يرفع الحظر ويعود بالفعل إلى ما كان عليه قبل الحظر لأن تعليل المذكور في الخبر زائد على الأمر المجرد فينبغي المصير إلى مدلوله ولولا أنه صلى الله عليه وسلم أفدناه لم نعرف وقد قال بالاستحباب جماعة من المحققين فانظر شرح مسلم ومجموع الفتاوى والقواعد لابن اللحام والإنصاف للمرداوي وسبل السلام والحجة البالغة. He says here, the commentator, is that the author, this is the commentator's words, the author, it would have been best for him to say, it's recommended to look at the woman that he wants to marry. It's recommended, and not to say that it's permissible. The commentator is saying that it would have been better, a better way of wording it, to say yundabu, yustahabbu, yusannu. It's recommended to look at the woman that you wish to marry, and not just yajuzu, it's permissible. Because they're two different levels. Yajuzu is something that you can do. It's allowed to do. Yundabu is something that you should do. You should do it. And it's an encouragement to do it. طيب. The mu'alliq, he discusses a few issues here pertaining to usul al-fiqh, which is very important. And that is, whenever we have a command to do something, after we have a prohibition to do that thing, what does that thing become? What does that thing become? So Allah he tells us to do something. But it's not just he told us to do something and that was it. But he told us to do something after he prohibited us from doing that same act. So now what does that act become? What is this ruling? An example of this is hunting. When a person goes to make Hajj and Umrah, he's not allowed to hunt on land. He can fish, but he cannot hunt on land. The moment he comes out of Ihram, he's now allowed to hunt. Allah says, وَإِذَا حَلَلْتُمْ فَاصْطَادُوا. When you come out of Ihram, فَاصْطَادُوا, hunt. So does it mean that hunting is obligatory? Hunting is recommended. Or does hunting go back to its original ruling before the prohibition? What's the ruling on hunting? Is hunting a mandatory, obligatory, disliked? That's his original ruling. Then Allah prohibited us from doing it. Then Allah Azza wa Jal, He did what? Commanded us to do it. So does hunting now take the level of being obligatory or recommended? Or does the ruling go back to its original thing? Everybody understand this? Original thing. Everybody understand this? An example of this, you say to your child, go ahead and eat your ice cream. Go ahead and eat your ice cream. Go ahead and eat your ice cream. Or go ahead and eat your candy. Go ahead. Is the parent telling the child that eating candy and ice cream is good, healthy? Or is the parent telling the child to eat the candy and ice cream after they had dinner? It's your dessert, after you had a nutritious meal. But the parent was originally against candy and ice cream and sugary things. So is it now a good thing to eat those sugary things? Or is it going back to the original concept? Is go ahead, have a little bit of it. Because it's after hadar. You can't have no candy and ice cream while you're eating dinner. You can't have no candy, no ice cream until you've had your meal and done the dishes. Everyone understand this? So here, the Prophet ﷺ commanding the man to look at the woman that he wants to marry is a command, right? It's an amr. And the amr is either going to prove that that thing is what? Obligatory or recommended. Obligatory or recommended. But the Prophet ﷺ, he told the man to look at the woman he wants to marry after what? The rulings have been established regarding what? قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ إِسْرِفْ بَصَرَكَ. The Prophet told the command, turn your eyes away. So how many stages do we have? The first stage is what? The prohibition of what? Looking at a woman whom you're not married to. Then the Prophet is doing what? Stage 2 is what? Telling him to look. So is looking at the woman recommended? Or is it go back to its original ruling of the permissibility of looking at the opposite sex for a need or a reason? The commentator says that it's not just the Jews, but it's recommended. And that's because the Prophet ﷺ encouraged it. And he told us the wisdom behind looking at the woman that you wish to marry in other texts. And that's the hadith that says, is that it will bring greater harmony. It'll bring greater harmony together when you look at the woman and you're attracted to the woman as well. Everyone understand this? So he's trying to prove here in the footnotes that it is recommended to do this and not just what? Permissible, not just yajuz. And obviously these basic principles of usul al-fiqh are very important even for a layman Muslim, let alone someone who's a hadith disciple watcher. You should know these principles and these rules by now. طيب. And then he quotes or he refers us to some other books in which some other scholars have stated that it is recommended to look at the woman that you're proposing to or you wish to marry. He then says, فائدة الخبر المذكور رواه الترمذي والأفضل وحسنه والنسائي وابن ماجه وغيره من طريق بكر بن عبد الله المزني عن المغيرة بن شعبة مرفوعا به وصح إسناده البوصيري في الزوائد وهو كما قال فإن بكرا أثبت سماعه من المغيرة الدارقطني كما قاله الحافظ في التلخيص وللخبر شاهد عند ابن ماجه نحوه واللفظ له ابن حبان والدارقطني من طرق عن عبد الرزاق عن معمر عن ثابت عن أنس به وهذا إسناد صحيح وصح ابن حبان والبوصيري. طيب. He then quotes where that hadith can be found, and we've explained that in other sources about the Prophet telling Mughira ibn Shu'bah to look at the woman that he wishes to marry. طيب. That's all the author mentions. He doesn't say when you can look at her, how much you can see from her, how many times can you see her. None of those details are mentioned here because this is a compressed metin. And all of those details and those issues will be mentioned in the explanation and in bigger books which the kalam is decompressed. So issue number one, he says, وَيَجُوزُ النَّظَرُ إِلَى الْمَخْطُوبَةِ. It's permissible to look at the woman who is makhtuba. What's meant by makhtuba? A woman whom you've met her family, you've discussed the issue of marriage with them already, then you look at her? Or you looking at her before that is even the discussion and the agreement that we will marry you off to our daughter. That's mas'ala. That's issue number one. Everyone understand that? Issue number two is, what can you see from this woman? Are you allowed to see her face only? Her hands and her face? Her hair, her hands, her face? Can you see her wearing normal clothes? A skirt, a dress, jeans? Are you allowed to see her arms or the short sleeve shirt? Are you allowed to see the figure of her body? None of that is mentioned here. Issue number three, how many times can you see her? You have a sit down with the sister, her father, her wali, or without, whatever, like we just said, and she shows you her face. This is what my face looks like. Or this is what my hair looks like, and that's it. I'm not going to keep taking off my overgarment every single time for you to see. You know what you're getting. Do you want to marry me or not? Or is it permissible to see her every time there is a sit-in or a meeting? Everyone understand this? That's also a very important issue, what? As well. Obviously, if a woman doesn't wear niqab, then that's not even an issue. So if a woman does not cover her hands and her face, is the man allowed to see more than that? We've discussed that in other sessions. And what the ulama of Islam say regarding looking at a woman that you propose to marry. And the wisdom of that as well, we've explained that too. All right? Moving forward. Another issue is, can a woman look at the man? And should she look at the man? Obviously, the man is not covered up with niqab, gloves, and hijab. But if she says, take off your kufi. Can you take your what? Or you say, no, I don't want you to see my widow's peak until after we're married. She says, I don't like widow's peak. You look like Eddie Munster. Tayyib. What if she says, I want to see you with pants and a shirt on? I always see you wearing a thobe, right? A dress. I want to see you wearing some what? Some pants. Tayyib, is that permissible? Everyone understand this? So she says, I want to see your tattoos. Lift up your shirt. Let me see if you tatted up or not. That's an issue, especially in what? 2019. Or even issues that are even what? Deeper than that. These are all masail tata'allaq bihadihi al-mas'ala. An-nadhar ila al-makhtuba and the opposite of an-nadhar ila al-makhtuba wal-khatib. Everyone understand this? And it's very important, as we've explained countless times, for the fiqh that we study and teach to be alive and vibrant, not dead. We don't want the fiqh to be jamid, to be stale and outdated. Okay? And if you're reading in a text that was written 1,000 years ago, in the 4th, 5th century, of course, how many issues have changed since then? Life, society, culture, civilization has changed. The people are not living in one country under a Muslim leader. It's different. People are living in New York City with social media. Everyone understand this? So things do what? Do change. And the fiqh is supposed to be based off of the traditional classic books, but with the new modern day issues. East meets what? West. Old school and new school, and there's no clash between the two. There's no, oh, this is old. No, they go hand in hand. The old traditional values don't change. But the new issues, the new things that pop up and come up, what? That must always change. And that's the true fiqh of Islam. And the jumud is never the way of the true alim, in which a person is stuck in an outdated, dusty mind frame. Khairan inshallah. Moving forward. He then says, rahimahullah, وَلَا نِكَاحَ إِلَّا بِوَلِيٍّ وَشَاهِدَيْنِ إِلَّا أَن يَكُونَ عَاضِلًا أَوْ غَيْرَ مُسْلِمٍ ويجوز لكل واحد من الزوجين أن يوكل لعقد النكاح ولو واحدا. He says, and there is no nikah unless there is a wali. No nikah unless there is a wali. And it has to be at least two witnesses. Two witnesses. Unless the wali is someone who's called adil. He's adil. And if he's adil, then he's no longer the wali. Or غير Muslim, he isn't a Muslim. Then you don't need him for the marriage. So the next ruling is the ruling of the wali in getting married. The author does not state any other time or situation in which the wali isn't needed, except for one of the two instances. The wali is adil, which we will explain, or the wali is a non-Muslim. If he's adil, or if he's kafir, he's not a Muslim, then what is the ruling now? Can the marriage be done without any wali? Or do we substitute him? Or do we substitute someone else? Replace him with another wali. The author here, he doesn't what? He doesn't specify that. Rather, the zahir, that which is obvious, is that he says marriage cannot be done except for kada, 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 unless kada, kada, kada. And he doesn't say anything about what? A replacement or substitution. Not saying that that's not the ruling, but I'm trying to show you how to study the nusus and how to analyze the book and to benefit from the author first and foremost. And that's studying with an empty cup. Oh, well, we know another hadith, Imam Fulan said, but that's not what the what? The author didn't say that. He didn't say that a ruler comes, the Imam from the masjid comes. It doesn't state that. It states there's no nikah unless there's a what? Wali. Unless, ... And the obvious, the zahir is that if the wali is adil or not Muslim, then there's nikah without the wali. Everyone understand? It's not saying that that's the actual what? Ruling, but I'm trying to teach you a tahleel al-nas. Tahleel al-nas is one of the most important skills for a student knowledge to have. It's how to analyze the text. And to benefit from the text first, then you move forward to something else. Everyone understand this? Tayyib. So, the wali, no specifications are given on the wali. Is it the father? Is it the brother? Is it the uncle? Is it the grandfather? Okay, maternal or paternal uncle? Is it a woman's son if she has a son? And the ulama of Islam, in general, they don't agree who is the person who has the most right to be the wali. Some of them, they differ on this issue. They all agree that this one can be this one, but they differ on who takes precedence. Is it the father, or is it the grandfather, or the uncle? And it's based off of the rulings of ahkam al-mawarith, the rulings of inheritance. And the concept of asaba, okay, who inherits from the woman directly, indirectly, etc. We don't have time, nor is this the proper place to explain these details on who should take precedence as being the what? The wali. And keep things simple in America, one can say the father is the wali. But another person may come and argue, says, no, it shouldn't be the father, it should be the grandfather. And that's because the grandfather is more experienced. The grandfather has more age. The grandfather has deeper insight in life than the father. Or one may say the grandfather's outdated, and it should be the father's. You understand this? It's going to depend on your family arrangement. Let alone a woman who comes from a family of non-Muslims, and she has no Muslim wali. Everyone understand this? Or a woman has a wali, but he's a fasiq. He drinks. He's a womanizer. He gambles. He sells riba, whatever. He's not righteous. Or unfortunately, like many homes, the father doesn't even pray. He doesn't make salah. And the Muslim who chronically misses prayer, if they're not a kafir, then for sure they're going to be a what? A fasiq. There's no khilaf about that. His naqisul iman, naqsan aziman. His iman is totally low. If he's not considered to be an apostate. The ulama, obviously, they differ on the salah. I want to understand this. And to show you the danger of missing the prayer is the hadith that's used by those who say that those who don't pray are not Muslims. Okay? فَمَنْ تَرْكَهَا فَقَدْ كَفَرَ. Okay? And the interpretation used by those ulama who say that they're still Muslims is they say فَقَدْ شَابَهَ فِعْلَ الْكُفَّارِ. He's resembling the disbelievers by not praying. So the point I'm trying to make is not to discuss the ruling of those who don't pray, but I'm trying to prove that it is dangerous, agreed upon. You're either a kafir or what? Borderline. By not making what? Salah. So it's dangerous. And of course, Allah knows how many people today don't make what? Prayer. If I asked you right now, how many people from your family do you know that do not pray except for Eid, Ramadan, and perhaps Jum'ah? Would you be hard pressed to mention the names? Auntie Fulan, Aunt Fulan, Uncle Fulan, Brother Fulan, Sister Fulan, such and such Fulan, my oldest son, my middle daughter, kada. Unfortunately, wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. It's not a difficult task to find people in your family that are Muslim names or what? They don't pray at all. It's very dangerous and it's very scary. Okay, so that's an issue of the conditions of the wali. Who is the wali? What are his conditions? What are his qualifications? That's a long what? Discussion in itself. Tayyib. and also the purpose and the wisdom, the hikmah of the wali, etc. Moving forward, it says, وَشَاهِدَيْن, and two witnesses. The author does not specify the ruling of the witnesses. Who are they? Are the witnesses just? Are they righteous? Are they Muslim? Doesn't mention that here. And we know in most cases they're supposed to be Muslim and they're supposed to be what? Pious. You understand this? Moving forward. He says, إِلَّا أَن يَكُونَ عَاضِلًا, unless he is عاضل. It says, العضل الحبس قاله في فتح القدير والمعنى لا نكاح إلا بولي لكن إذا كان الولي قصده حبس المرأة ومنعها من الزواج فلا ولاية له. He says the word adl linguistically means imprisonment, in which the wali is trying to imprison the woman. He's trying to keep her from getting married. He's trying to prevent her from getting married without no reason. I don't understand this. If that's the case, he's automatically disqualified. And now, obviously, in 2019 in New York City, we experience this all of the time. The father doesn't want to marry off his daughter because of race, because of class, because of caste, because of profession. There's so many different reasons why the wali tells his daughter what? Forget about it. Get lost. You think you want to get married before college is over? No. You think you want to get married and you're this age? No. You think you want to get married to someone who doesn't make this amount of money? What? No. Or the concept of interracial marriage, which is a very widespread problem. And one of the reasons why it's widespread is because it's New York City and it's a melting pot. And we have Muslims from so many different backgrounds. Everyone has migrated to New York City. We have second generation Muslims from different countries who are not like the first generation. The concept of race and class and culture is very different. They're New Yorkers. And they've learned to accept the brown, the black, the yellow, the white, the red, the pink, and the purple. And they only look at people for their character and how they are. You understand this? That's my man. He's cool. Everyone understand this? You're from Guyana, but you grew up in the hood. What else? So he said, that's my what? That's my N dot dot. You see what I'm saying to you? There's no distinction. Oh, he's not black. No, you see what I'm saying to you? And a black person who comes from your block, he's a sucker. He's a nut. He's a noodle. Based off of character, and that's it. It's not based off of skin and race. But they only look at people how they are in college or playing football and basketball. They don't discriminate against the Guyanese neighbor who plays basketball with them because he can do what? He's tough. So it's not about, oh, he's not black. I'm picking Abdul. Look at that. But the parents, different story. Black guy comes on the cricket field, they say what? Everyone understand this? It's a reality now. So the second generation is totally different than what? The first generation. And the same applies to the women as well. So sister, whatever her name is, she wants to marry a what? A soul brother. He's the flyest in the school. He's the most handsome. He's the most pious. He recites the Quran better than the other ones. But the father from Guyana, he says what? No way. Will you bring home a mixed baby to my household? What do? And I'm only talking Allah knows best based off of what? Years of experience. And it's not just a black, white, black, anything. All different types of races. Everyone understand this? How many times we've dealt with this situation? Just you. The few years we've been moving, just how many cases? Countless cases. Okay, so it's a huge problem. Right? Or the brother, he says what? Focus on yourself. Marry from your what? Your own culture. That's what the brother told you, right? Marry what? Plenty of good girls from Guyana. Why do you want to come here and marry my daughter? Everyone understand this? Unfortunately, is that a valid excuse and a valid reason to prevent your daughter from marrying someone? Everyone understand this? All right? So that's a huge, huge problem. And we've spoken on this many times before. And we've given sincere advice for the face of Allah, inshallah, many times before, with regards to father, with regards to mother, with regards to daughter, and with regards to brother. The concept of an interracial marriage and the problems that come from an interracial marriage. Everyone understand this? And one of those problems is the wali holding back the girl, in which he doesn't want no one to marry her. No one is good enough for his daughter. So she's 19 now. She's at the peak of her beauty, right? 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Now he's trying to what? Shop his daughter around. Excuse my English, my expression. Everyone understand? That's a problem. So what is going to be her love and respect for her father after preventing her from getting married for 10, 20 years? What is the relationship going to be? What type of wife is this problem after what? After problem that comes from this. And this is one of the reasons why this wali is no longer what? A wali. Everyone understands why he loses his waliism. Everybody clear on this? His waliship, his walihood, he loses it. Because it's this dharar. And the hadith says, La dharar wa la dirar. It's not to be any harm in Islam. Everyone understand this? And then of course we have the concept of the young brother or the young sister who wants to get married, and the brother or the sister that they're looking for, they bring home, it's not about race. But the brother doesn't have a job. Sister, she's 19 years old, she brings home brother Kareem to the house. Brother Kareem, he's nice, he can play basketball, he's handsome, but he's, may Allah forgive my expression, he's a bum. Not saying that a Muslim will be a bum, but you get what I'm trying to say. We're talking English now. So no one say, oh, in Arabic you can't. Everyone understands the concept. You're 20 years old, 23 years old, you have no job, you do nothing. You're not seeking ilm, you're not going to college, you're just at home all day playing video games and basketball. He has no job. So the father from Yemen or Guyana or wherever, he says, listen, I have no problem with brother Kareem. I could care less what his skin looks like. But he don't have a job. How am I supposed to marry someone that can't even feed you? Everyone understand this? Or there are other issues, character issues. I know brother Kareem, because I know people in those circles that saw him in those circles. He comes to you, Assalamu alaikum, kayf halak sheikh. The firm handshake, nod in the head, the plate of fruit, fadda sheikh. But we know brother Kareem from what? Another type of lifestyle. You don't, because love is blind. As the Arabs, they say, hubbuka shay yu'mi wa yusim. Your love of a thing causes blindness and deafness. And in English we say, what? Love is blind. So you can't see. You think that he's righteous and pious, but in actuality he has a whole nother life that he's leading. A whole nother identity that he's known by, but you just don't know. So many times they confuse the spouse, the girl or the guy, for racism. And it's not always racism. Of course, it is racism sometimes. We're not denying that, Abu Saeed. Don't jump on us. It does exist. But oftentimes it's what? It's not the case. And there are other things as well. Is it what? There are other things as well, okay? So the concept of the father, the wali, he should not tell his daughter no unless there's a what? A valid reason. That's the bottom line. A valid reason. Everyone understand this? So you have to be mindful of this, brothers, with regards to what type of life you lead. You know, what are you doing with yourself? Are you educating yourself? Are you getting married? And the same advice we give to young brothers who get rejected. You don't have to keep asking and chasing this person. You're doing everything right. You're trying to be righteous. You're going to school. You're trying to seek ilm. You have a job. Class. The woman that's destined for you will find you. And if a father can't see that, then he's blind. And he'll be punished for being what? For being blind. A fine young man came and asked for your daughter's hand in marriage. You told him no. You'll see the effects of that later on. Everyone understand this? So we have to have a balance, guys. And we have to understand that this is a major problem in the United States in 2019. Canada may be different. UK may be different. I don't know about that. Australia. But I'm only talking about what? Our country. And Allah knows best. Moving forward. He says, "Oh, ghayra Muslim." A person isn't a Muslim. Father, I've accepted Islam, but my father isn't a Muslim. So who is to be appointed for the wali? That's a different discussion. Moving forward. The last point of the chapter, or this section of the chapter, he says, وَيَجُوزُ لِكُلِّ وَاحِدٍ مِنَ الزَّوْجَيْنِ أَنْ يُوَكِّلَ لِعَقْدِ النِّكَاحِ. And each of the two, man and woman, bride and groom, male and female, it's permissible for them to entrust someone for the marriage. I give you total authority. Marry me off. I've given my consent to you. Imagine that, huh? I say, go out and find me a wife, Abdur. I don't want to know anything about it. You just what? You do it. Once you found her, you can sign a paper for me. Can you do that? Will you do that? And you know that, Mufti, don't call my phone, don't ask me no questions. I've made you my wakil. You're my agent. So you have to what? No, not just find it. You got to what? You got to know what. Everyone understand this? The concept of trusting the agent. Everyone understand this? Make the what? Make the deal go through. Everybody clear on this or not? He says, وَلَوْ وَاحِدًا. طيب. Even if it's just one person. طيب. Khayr inshallah. We'll stop here tonight. and try to save some time for a few questions that we may have. There's a very, very a lot of information remains in the chapter, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best.